Well, welcome back, Carrarians. Welcome to part 3 in the final installment of our fence tutorial and introduction to Carrara 6. I've gone back to the assembly room, which you can click on the hand icon. This gives the general the assembly room for composing our scene. We still have our post and our post cap, and now we're going to go ahead and put everything together and make our final fence. Now you can see the post cap is one the wrong way and way too big for our post, so we're going to need to correct both these problems. First, I'm going to select it and press the R key, and this will allow me to rotate the object, and then I'm going to hold shift, and that'll restrict it to 45-degree increments so I know I'm getting a perfect rotation. Then I'm also going to need to scale it, so holding the S key and clicking on the corner, I can get a good scale. Then I'm going to go ahead and give it a rough alignment. Then pressing the F key, or the 4 key on the number pad, I'm going to go ahead and get our 4-window view so I can get a more accurate alignment going on. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little more, so bear with me. Alright, and I think we got a pretty good arrangement. Now for our final step, I'm going to go back to our single window, and I'm going to go here at the top of our project window. We will see the second object, or a second icon, is used collision detection. We're going to click that, and we'll see 3 balls lit up. And then I'm going to click our post cap, and this is going to allow us to move objects around, but they're going to stop when they touch each other. That way we know we're not going into an object or floating above an object. So in this case, I'm going to lift the post cap up and then bring it down until it stops. And as you can see, we have a nice, good, clean connection between the two. And we have a nice, we have now merged these two objects, visually, but we have not merged these objects into a single object, which is what we're going to need to do next. So holding shift, I've selected both objects. And under edit, near the bottom, we'll see 3D Boolean. And I'm going to do a union of the two objects, and now we have one singular object to work it with. This is actually a new object that's been created just in this case, and the old object's been removed and replaced with this unified object. And this was an important step because our surface, or our replicator, needs the single object to work with. So now that we have our post cap and post merge, I'm going to go ahead and kind of move it out of the way of our scene. And then up here, next to the hair, and in between the fire and the hair, we'll see the surface replicator. And we want to click and hold that. And we're actually going to pick the regular replicator. This will allow us to replicate in various patterns. And then once we've clicked that icon, I'm going to click on the scene. And then we're going to need to go over here to our scene browser, and under the instances we will see replicator has appeared, and we're going to double click that, and that'll bring us to our modeling room, and now we can go ahead and set that replicator up. Now we have various options that we can do. I'm going to keep the first option, which is the grid pattern, and now we see this box says replicated objects with nothing in it. This is the object we want to replicate, and we can add multiple objects to it, but in this case we just want to do the one. So we'll click add, and then we're going to pick our object that we worked on with the post and the sphere. And down here we can see a little army of them has appeared, of little boxes. We actually just want 1 or 10 on the x-axis and 1 on the y and z axis. And then that's really all there is to setting that up. We're going to go back into our scene, and as we can see, we have 10 individual little posts, or little white boxes. These represent each one of the objects. If we were to do a spot render, we're able to see each one of our little posts. I'm going to go ahead and go back in here, and I'm going to lower our distance between the object because I don't like the spacing. Well, now we've moved, and this is very advantageous because it's that easy to change. If you don't like the spacing on something, you just change it, and you don't have to copy, recopy, set up grids or any of that stuff. It's just bam, you're there. And you also have the option within here, let me go back in here and show you, to create real instances where we could actually create individual objects based on this. So that can come in handy when you just get it, because otherwise the objects can be very repetitive. You're going to be using the same shader settings and UV settings and all that stuff, and we can create new instances where we can do all these individual operations to each one of the posts or whatever our objects happen to be. But a lot of times, and in this case, we're not going to do that because that will also eat up our resources in a hurry. Alright, well that's pretty much our fence, but before we finish that off, we're going to need a rail, so I'm going to go up here and pick a cube and scale that down a little bit. I'm going to make it roughly the size of our fence in length. And unfortunately, the collision detection option does not work in the case of or in this case where we have a replicator. You can't collide with the replicated objects because they're not really there. So I got to do it the old-fashioned way. Alright, that's done. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a little plane here because we want everything to rest on something. I'm going to move our replicator up so it fits. Alright, so now we have our fence post, our rail, and even a little ground. We'll do a little spot render, and now we can see our completed fence. That pretty much concludes the tutorial. Thanks for putting up with me. Good day.